Great progress so far. In this lesson, we will learn about Windows function. The Windows function let you perform calculation on a group of rows, which is defined by a window. Unlike the other aggregate functions that group rows into one row, window functions keep the original number of rows within your data and they add a new column with the result of the given calculation that we are doing. Note that these functions do not alter the number of rows in your output. Rather, they simply add a new column with the calculation for each observation. Let's see this with the help of an example. In the past, you have learned about various aggregate functions, which are used to provide summarized information on the column selected. Plus, you're familiar with how to group rows within your data that have the same or identical values. Basically, these aggregate functions perform aggregations in a single row or for individual categories for the column we group by. As you can see, this was the example we used to explain group by from the input region table. For example, we had to find out how many regions are present for each country. We grouped together the rows by country name to get individual count of regions. For example, for United States, we get 3 rows. For Mexico, we got 2. For Canada, again, we got 2 rows. So with the group by, our rows, total number of rows in the output data reduced. Now what if we want to maintain the same number of rows in the output and we want to have the count across each of the rows like this. Now let's see how we can get this kind of output using an example in our database, and we will use our regions data. So let's start from regions and I can print this. This is our data set. So let's say we want to apply the window function. The count, and we want to add a count column, which is count of region across the countries. So what we can do is we will select all the columns using star, and now I want to find count of region. Now in order to apply window function, we use over clause. Using over, we provide a bracket, and within this we provide a partition by clause. This is used to tell the SQL executor that we want to partition the data by which column. Now in this case, we want to partition it by country. So we will write country here, and let's rename this column to number of regions. Now we'll read our data from table using from. Right. So now what this will do is, this will partition our data by country, and within this partition, it will find the count of region. So within the United States will become first partition, and it will have count of 3 because there are 3 regions or 3 rows within this partition. Then Mexico has 2 rows, Canada has again 2 rows. So we can run this, and we can see that Canada has 2 rows, Mexico has 2, and again you can see United States has 3 rows. Awesome. Now we have seen a simple window function. Let me give a quick preview of what you will study in the next couple of lessons. We will see various types of window functions. For example, we will see aggregate function. A count was also an aggregate window function. And we will also look at analytical function, where we will look at ranking, which is used to rank records within each window or partition. And within ranking function, we also have value functions. They are used to compare records within a partition or getting, first or last value of a partition. All right, now let's summarize what we learned within this session. So we learned about SQL window function, which helps us to perform calculation on a group of rows defined by a window. Unlike aggregate function that group our rows into a single row, window function keep the original number of rows in our data and they add a new column with the result of whatever calculation we are performing, whether it's an aggregate function that we are applying or it's an analytical function. So we looked at over clause, we used it in our example. As I discussed, it is used to define window function to specify a partition, ordering or frame of our query. Now you can look at this syntax. The window function in our example was count. The column name was region, and we applied that over a partition which was country. Now we did not use order and frame. The square bracket here means that these are optional arguments. Even if we do not provide them, we can perform a window function. So we already see the first argument in action where we use partition by. It helped us to divide or break our observation into different frame or section. Then we have order and frame clause. The order clause, by default, it helps us to sort the data within the partition. We can provide whether we want ascending or descending. Again, by default, order by takes ascending. And the last clause is frame. Now this helps us to provide the offset from the current record or observation. Let's say I want to compare current record with the previous record or with the next record. So I can do this within a frame. It helps us to create a subset of rows within a partition. You can think of it like a small partition within your partition by. So the syntax is we provide the frame unit and then we provide start frame index and frame between. These are used to define the boundaries of the frame. We'll learn more about this in the future lecture. Now, let's go to the next lesson where we will study about window aggregate function and see some more examples in action. So that's all from this lecture. Let's meet in the next one.